Hey there. Hello. So, as promised, I'm here with this impromptu stream so that we can talk all things Trek, especially since I know that I got at least one person who couldn't wait to talk about some Star Trek with me, and that is Thomas. So, I am well, Thomas. I hope you are doing well. Glad to see you. Glad to see your face in the place. And I said I was going to share my theory. You know how you come up with something and it sounds great while you're saying it to yourself, and then you're just so afraid of how other people might react to it. It's not going to change the fact that we are going through this thing together. We don't know what's going to happen with Picard or with the second half of the season of Discovery. We all have our ideas. My idea might not line up with your idea, but I'm gonna put it out there today. I'm gonna put it out there. We're gonna see if anybody thinks that I might be on to something. But besides that, uh yeah, it's been quite a day. I was trying to see if we're gonna get a couple of looky loos and trickle ins. I'm not 100% sure because this is on very short notice that I was gonna do this stream, but yeah, so it's an open conversation. We could talk about anything, past, present, or future Star Trek. And I think I plan on hitting on at least a little bit of the present and a little bit of the future. So, but it's anything. We don't just talk. It's just open talk. Yeah, I kind of want to get somebody in here to bounce these ideas off of. I'm gonna tell you what I was thinking. Well, first, let me ask a question because I know you are a Trekkie, Thomas, and I wrote a couple questions down so I wouldn't forget what I was going to ask. You still think Murphy's Chicote and Prodigy? I'm gonna actually write it down just so I'll remember. Because if it turns out to be that he is Chicote, I'm telling you, you're autocorrect. I know how that goes. Chicote is Murph. We're gonna put this because yeah, if it turns out to be right, I swear to goodness gracious, I gotta come back and hand it to you because you are the first person. Actually, I would have never even considered it if you would not have said it. But okay, here we are. Here's a question I got. Here's a question I got. Is it weird to you that in Star Trek Discovery, that Rillick wasn't like she wasn't taken aback when they jumped using the spore drive? Like everybody else who has jumped on the ship, everybody else who has gotten on Discovery had never experienced the spore drive, was kind of shaken up by it the first time they experienced it. So was it odd to you that Rillick, the president of the Federation, did not it didn't bother her one bit when we look back at her after the ship jumped, when she was on the ship, when it went towards the anomaly, she wasn't the least bit rattled by it. And even though she's like, oh, her father was a, a, a cargo ship or a freighter ship captain, that don't even compare to the jump when you're jumping with the spore drive. So does that seem weird to you? I don't know what this is. I thought it was really weird. Really, really weird And it kind of it's not playing into my theory, it's playing into, I guess, my opinions of her. My opinion of her is I still don't trust her. I don't trust her any more than I trust Tarka. I don't trust anything that Tarka said, especially concerning the reason why he needs to uh, that he needs to destroy this anomaly. I don't even I don't even trust him when he says that. So I just don't trust the either one of them. I went on this same down this same road last season though with Vance and Kovic. I didn't trust them. I made a million videos about how I didn't trust them. Turns out they were okay. But I really feel some type of way about Rillick. I really feel some type of way about Tarka. Um, and they don't play into my theory much, but those are two people I don't trust. And I got reasons. I mean, I got the reason. First reason was because of her on that ship. She acted like she had made a jump in a spore drive with the spore drive before. I can't say for certain. We won't know until we get to that point in the season, but it just seemed weird that she didn't even seem like it phased her one bit. And then let's see. When we start talking about Tarka, yeah, I got notes. You say you don't trust her either, Thomas. Yeah, it's just something weird about her. Um, Also, it seems like both of them, Rillick and Tarka, they kind of lead people into doing what they want them to do. You said it seems like she looks out for her own interest. Yes. And further, I'm about to piggyback on that. Besides her looking out for her own interest, she comes up with an idea, but she doesn't want to be the person to implement the idea. So, for instance, when she needed somebody to kind of be the go-between between her and President Tarina's idea, she chose Burnham. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. She wanted it to look like it was Burnham's idea. Then she did the exact same thing when they were having that assembly, and she needed somebody to vote against destroying the anomaly. So she needed somebody to do it, but she couldn't do it. So she had Burnham do that. It's like she's kind of delegating, and I know it's politics, but she's kind of delegating off her idea. So it don't look like it's her idea if shit goes south. That's the way I'm looking at it. And then Tarka does the exact same thing. He did it to Stamets when he was like, you do the honors. He didn't want to be the person pushing the button when they were opening that wormhole on Discovery. And then he did it to Book. And he was like, I can't be the person to suggest that we go in there and destroy the anomaly. It's got to be you. So then Book did it. It's like they have these grand, huge ideas that could really go south, but they don't want to be attached to them. They hand it off to somebody else. I've noticed it with both of them. I know that of course Rillick is a politician, so these are the things that politicians do. But why is Ruan Tarka doing that with Book? Just another thing that kind of freaking bothered me about the two of them. Really continuously makes sure that these big revelations and ideas come from Burnham. And then Tarka does the same thing. He suggests that Booker be the one to make the case to the assembly. He suggests that Stamets be the one to push the button when they're doing the wormhole test. So I don't trust them. I just don't. Now Tarka admits that he needs that device to go home to a new home in another universe. So Book asks, is it a mirror universe? And Tarka says there are countless parallel universes, each with its own quantum signature. That is where it kind of plays into my theory. My theory for Star Trek Picard is that there may be a crossover. I got two. This is a two-part theory, I guess, that there may be a crossover with Discovery, and the reason why I think that is possible is that in episodes of Picard in the first season, they keep hammering home that things will happen in 1,000 years. For instance, at the Daystrom Institute, when Picard meets with Dr. Agnes Jurati, he asks her if it's possible to make a sentient android out of flesh and blood. And then she laughs and says, "Oh, it's impossible. It's at least 1,000 years away." So there's that first 1,000 year. And then we look at how they were treating Romulans during the time. During the time of Star Trek Picard season 1, the Romulans were persona non grata with the Federation, and especially on Earth. They just weren't welcome. They still had that kind of antagonistic relationship. So when we see the season 2 Picard trailer, that first one, it shows Elnor, a Romulan, being chased. So why him? If they are on the streets of Earth, kind of in the past or wherever they are, I think they're in the past though. So in the past or on this alternate timeline. What time is it? It is 6 p.m., bud. Yeah, in the past on this alternate timeline, he's being chased, but nobody else is being attacked. In fact, he is injured. There was a scene where we see Raffi kind of holding Elnor, and we see that he's injured for some. Why did he get attacked? It's because we are still in this timeline of antagonism against Romulans. So what if, and this is me on a reach, we're in an alternate timeline. The Romulans are still persona non grata. And where am I at on my list now? Where am I at on my list? So yeah, what if on this alternate timeline, because Discovery has this interaction with this anomaly, what if it tosses them onto the same timeline that Picard is on? Because we see it's a darker timeline with Picard. It is not the same optimistic future that we know of the Federation. It looks like it is almost dystopian. What if this is the timeline that Calypso, the Short Treks episode, falls in? And I know I'm reaching, but we do know that Calypso is going to come back and play a part in the in the lore of Star Trek. A lot of people have given up on it being coming back and meaning something, but it was already promised. It was already promised by the showrunners that Calypso is going to come back and be pertinent to the story. So what if it wasn't 1,000 years in the future that Zora was talking about? What if it was 1,000 years in the past? What if she was sitting in orbit waiting for the Discovery crew to come back, and it had been 1,000 years in the past, because that's how far they had to come back to be in the Picard timeline? I don't know if I'm making sense. If you understand what I'm saying, let me know in the chat. But I'm going to give you an example of where the showrunners, just a blurb, a little from an article that I read, where the showrunners said that they promised they're going to come back. Oh, I guess I better make this big, huh? They're going to come back from to Calypso. And I don't know if this is big enough, so let me make it bigger. It says Zora, the sentient computer inside Discovery, is also hailed as a new species after lengthy debates about her existence. Over the 7 episode first half of the season, Zora has grown her own personality, chosen her own name, and acts out of a desire to protect the crew, who she views as family. Only time will tell what the future holds for her, though we did get a peek at her future in the Short Treks episode Calypso. That is via StarTrek.com. So I know that my theory might be a reach, but we do know that story, that short trek, is going to come back into play. Further, before we even got to that, the showrunners made a pledge to have future series seasons line up in canon with Calypso. So at what point, because we've already skipped an entire season and nothing ties back, we got the Easter eggs that are leading up to Zora becoming sentient, but we don't have a tie with Calypso just yet. And I know they're not going to put it off for too many more years, even though the problem with my theory, and I can accept this, is that in Calypso, the ship is in its original configuration. It doesn't have the detached nacelles. So at what point does Discovery go back to having the original configuration? There was only one way that can, there's only two ways that can happen. That they undo the retrofit in the future, or that they end up going back to the past. Those are the things that are making me say that it doesn't have to necessarily cross over with Picard, but we're definitely getting that tie-in back to Discovery, with Calypso to Discovery. But I think that we might see on that darker Picard timeline that the Federation has become the enemy, the Vadrash, like in Calypso, and that they're not trusted. And somehow our Discovery crew ends up on that same alternate timeline with the crew of Picard. I'm not even saying that it's going to all happen this season, because we know we got the third season of Picard coming as well. That's going to be their closeout season. I would think something huge or big will either happen in the finale of Picard this season, or I don't think that they would tie that story into Discovery. I think they would tie it into Picard. And that would also explain our 6-week hiatus with Discovery. I know Wilson Cruz said one thing when he corrected a couple of fans in a Facebook chat, like, look, it takes a long time to do post-production. But what if the Discovery crew were filming scenes with the Picard crew, and that's why they had to be off for the 6 weeks? Let me know if my theory is making any freaking sense to you. Any freaking sense at all. If it's not, I'm going to try to fine line it and make it more coherent, what I'm saying more coherent, because I mean, the more I look into things and the more I watch season 1 of Picard over again, the more I think about the episodes of season 3 of Discovery, and I think about that Calypso short track, I'm thinking, no, I was wrong all that time, thinking that they were going to go 1,000 years into the future, and that's where Zora was going to wait for him. I'm thinking it's 1,000 years in the past. I'm almost ready to just like make it so. If you got a different theory, anything you guys want to talk about as far as Star Trek is concerned, I'm completely open for it. I'm going to also, while I'm waiting to see if anybody got anything to add, of course, we saw this new poster for Strange New Worlds. It looks really good. I'm wondering if what planet is this? Is this supposed to be Earth, or is this a different planet that Pike is on? We know Pike had an affinity for riding horses, so this is showing that nothing has changed in the backstory of Pike besides what we saw in Discovery season 2, and that wasn't even changes. That was just them filling out what how they are going to get us to the point where he meets oh gosh, what was the name of the aliens? What was the name of the species that he met? And they, the menagerie episode. But yeah, so we're gonna get there eventually. But yeah, we've got some filling in the blanks to do. Speaking of filling in the blanks, they're going to fill in a few more blanks on Uhura going into her backstory. So, Nyota Uhura is a cadet in this episode, or in this timeline of Star Trek Strange New World. She's a cadet instead of a lieutenant. And it says that she always planned to study alien languages at the University of Nairobi, because we know that she was from Africa, where her parents were both professors. But then an accident claimed the lives of her parents and her older brother, and it changed everything for her. She couldn't stand to be on campus because it reminded her too much of them. So she moved in with her grandmother. Now, her grandmother was a former Starfleet officer who spoke highly of her time in the organization. One thing led to another, and then Uhura became a cadet on the Enterprise with Captain Pike and the crew. So I got this because they allowed some press to watch some scenes from Strange New Worlds, and this was from Den of Geek. They were able to watch those scenes. I'm not big enough. They didn't invite me. One of these days, maybe. One of these days. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting, because in all of the years that we've had Uhura as a character, going all the way back to the original series. This is the first time we're getting this much story for her. She's getting a little shine. We get to know a little bit more about her, and I'm kind of glad of that. I'm kind of glad. Don't laugh at me, Thomas. Yeah, I'm not big enough. They ain't invite me. Shucks. But I ain't gonna worry about it, because you know what? One of these days they're gonna have me, and I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. Shucks. Um, Star Trek Picard. We saw there. They released some pictures. They released a few more pictures. What it do, Reinhardt? We were just talking. Me and Lysandra were just talking about you today, and she was asking where you had been, and I was like, Reinhardt works all the time. Yeah, always at work. So hopefully you got a couple minutes today to chat with us, because it's just open conversation about Star Trek. And I don't know if you heard my theory, but I'll share it again if you must. But right now I was talking about Picard, just showing the pictures that we've gotten. Yeah, Reinhardt, working. You said I'm gonna get there, Thomas, hopefully before I die. Oh gosh. Yeah, working. So you got time today, sir, huh? All right, Reinhardt. But yeah, they had some photos. We've seen many of them. They added a few. I picked Clarence off because Clarence, our friend from Discussing Trek, he's actually just our friend, but he does have a podcast called Discussing Trek. And I always talk about the podcast. I love his show. So if you are a podcast listener, check out my friend Clarence on Discussing Trek and the entire Discussing Network, especially if you like sci-fi. You got Doctor Who, you got Discussing Comics, you got all kinds of stuff Discussing Trek. But I went over to his Discord and stole some pictures. So so this is where I just copied and pasted them. But we're seeing a lot of Q, of course, in these pictures, and it really looks like Jean-Luc Picard was thinking to himself in this picture, I thought I would never have to see this dude's face again ever in life, but here we are. Here's Q. Um, and there's this confrontation. I want to know why he sends them to this alternate timeline. I really want to know what is in it, what is the lesson, what is in it for Q. Yeah, but John Luke just looks like he is like, I'm so tired of this man. I'm just so tired of Q. But you had to see him one more time before you check out. um, and he doesn't look very happy to be having this conversation with Q as well. So, and now this looks like not this same outfit that Picard is in this picture. This one looks like he's in a dark Starfleet uniform. It just looks like it looks like we might already be in that alternate timeline. If you guys got an opinion on what these pictures look like or what it means to you, let me know in the chat. But yeah, we got the same get up that Picard is in, but he's also with Seven, Raffi, and Elnor, and this is it's got to be kind of prior to Elnor getting ran down and hurt in the streets. I would think that it is anyway. But yeah, it's just something really different. It looks like a mirror universe, but it's not the mirror universe. It's definitely an alternate timeline. We've got also Girardi over here. Now, Girardi is wearing something that is mighty baggy. I'm wondering to myself if she might be expecting. I don't want to put that in the ether. She might not be expecting, but that's the way it looks to me. So yeah, I'm looking at what this can possibly mean. We got Picard again. I want to find that one picture of Picard. He was in there was a picture of him, well, not even him. There was a picture of what looks like in his ready room or something, where he had a photo of the Enterprise. I don't know if it was the Enterprise C. Let me see. I'm trying to find that picture. Um yeah, I don't know if I overlooked that photo or what. But yeah, that was interesting to me as well that he had this picture of the Enterprise C, and it looked like a very like a warlike photo. In fact, um, let's see here. I'm going to share this photo with y'all. Yeah, Reinhardt, share your theory. This is an open conversation. You could tell me anything today. Shucks, we don't have a true itinerary. I shared some of my thoughts already, but I'll share mine again too. Give me your theory, sir, and while I show you this freaking picture. And I don't know if you can see it, but that is definitely the Enterprise back there in that photo. Now, this is a photo from whatdidimiss.com. I just lifted it so you can see what I'm talking about. But there's a picture of the Enterprise. It is in a battle, And I can't tell what kind of ship from this picture, but everything that, let me know what you think as you look at this picture. This is definitely a different timeline, and it's definitely a darker timeline. I'm going to try to find a better picture of this while Reinhardt crafting his theory over here. Here's another one. Let's see. I'm going to share a different picture from this season 2 of Picard. Okay, I'm about to read you in just a second here and put this picture up while I'm reading it, because I really need to know. This is another example that we are in this darker timeline. Now, here we are. You said, my hope theory is I feel like Guinan could be a member of the Q continuum, or at least half Q, like that girl that they had on the Enterprise that one minute had a crush on Riker. I'm trying to think now, who had the crush on Riker? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, she was a part Q. I remember what you're talking about now. So you think Guinan is part of the continuum, but she's just a half, because they never explained why Guinan had such an issue with Q. And Q never even explained it. He was like, this creature is not what you think she is, but he never explained why he took issue with Guinan and why she was ready to attack him. So hopefully we get an answer to that in Picard this season, and that would be something if she were part Q. Um, yeah, you said the Q continuum actually killed them, and her parents were Q, and they took human form. I remember the series. I mean, I remember the episode that you're talking about now. Yeah, but so it is a possibility. But okay, what would that, why would they do that? Why would she pretend to be something other that, or does she, maybe she doesn't know that she's a Q? Is that what we're getting at, that she might not know that she's a Q? That's an interesting thought. Very interesting thought. Yes, you are 100% correct, Thomas. Guinan she can detect other timelines when they change. And that's how I think she knew that Picard was heading to her when she was in her new 10 forward. That's on 10 Forward Avenue instead of being on the ship. That's why she knew that he was on his way. And she was like, I'm going to need a tea, Earl Black, hot. But she didn't say decaf, because remember in season 1 of Picard said tea, Earl Grey, decaf. So now he's taking his tea decaf. She's still serving it to him in the regular way. Don't know if that was just an oversight on the part or on behalf of the writers, but they know that people like us will nitpick a detail like that, because Guinan is supposed to know. She's supposed to know. So yeah, she can detect those other timelines when they change, and that will bring us where I can bring Reinhardt up to speed on what my theory was, and it's not concrete. It's a very fluid theory. You can add, or you can say, hey, maybe take away from this theory. But I was thinking, Reinhardt, that short trek Calypso is going to tie into this dark timeline of Picard, that for some reason or somehow this uh that there will be a crossover between Picard and Discovery. Not maybe this season, but next season. That there will be a crossover. That somehow, especially dealing with this anomaly that we're dealing with in Discovery, they will get tossed back into an alternate timeline. The same alternate timeline that is being set up by Picard. It'll be a darker timeline. And that is why Kraft from Calypso and his the people in his timeline have an issue with the Federation. Why the Federation has become the Vadrash, and why they will how we end up getting to the Calypso kind of episode. I don't know if I'm making sense. If I am, let me know, and let me know what you think of that theory, because we can tweak it. It's not, I'm not in love with it like that. But I do, the more I keep thinking about things, the more I think that that's a possibility. And they were saying that the ship had been evolving over 1,000 years, but what if it was evolving 1,000 years in the opposite direction? So it's not telling us that 1,000 years from the point of where Discovery is into the future, but it's been evolving 1,000 years from where the point of this where Discovery is into the past. You said maybe Q and the other Q shunned her because she wasn't a full Q. Now that's just your dumb theory. That's not a dumb theory. What you saying is something about Guinan. Yeah, it's got to be. What's the point of bringing her back if we're not going to close some of the doors that were left open after Star Trek, the Next Generation went off the air? These characters are back for a reason. And Reinhardt said, and it's more than just she's from a race that just lives a really long time. I mean, she could tell fluctuations in time. Yeah, that's the exact thing that Thomas just said. Guinan can detect those other timelines when they change. Again, they didn't just bring these characters back because they just love fan service. There's a story to be told, and there is nothing to say that your theory is incorrect or wrong. It's a theory. So we can either sit and wait to see how it plays out, beginning on March 3rd when we get this second season of Picard. But there is no right or wrong answers when you're doing fan theories. This is all for fun. Unless you one of those psychos who will be mad because your theory didn't pan out. But I don't think we do that over here. We can be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm a whole lot better with being right, though. So yeah, that's my thought. Q was scared crapless of Guinan. He did not want to be around her at all. It almost made me think that in that moment, in that episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, it almost made me think that she was more powerful than him. But again, he can move people throughout time, space, and everything. But she can detect those things. And I don't know what the fear is. I hope we get that answer in Picard, because again, no point of bringing them back if we're not going to explore all of these different doors that were left open on the series. Yeah. Oh, I missed you too, Reinhardt. I was talking about you and Clarence. I missed both of you because Clarence hasn't been here in a little while, but he has, just like you, he's been in contact, so I know everything's good, and yeah, I was telling Thomas was kind of new to our group because he's got a wealth of Star Trek information too, or a wealth of Star Trek knowledge. And I was saying I miss my two buddies. I had two other buddies besides Angus who are very well versed in Trek, and I was speaking about you and Clarence. Yeah. And Thomas said Q is not even afraid of other Q, but he's afraid of Guinan. That's really strange. And it is something to think about. We're going to get an answer. I know we are. And I would not be shocked if Guinan does have some connection with the Q. We already know that she's a powerful being, and she's a very she has an intuition. But what if she were? Because she could smell it coming. She could smell it coming. um Reinhardt, one of the questions I was asking about Discovery is, do we are we trusting Rillick and Tarka right now? Because I asked the question at the top, I'll ask it again. Thomas is not trusting them. I'm not trusting them. But remember last season, I didn't trust Vance, and I didn't trust Kovic, and I went on my millions of rampages on how I thought both of them were shady, and it turns out they weren't really shady. Do we think Rillick and Tarka are shady? And if we do we think that they are in cahoots with one another? Are they working together in any way, shape, or form? Um, yeah, because I honestly I was tripping, because even Tarka in the first half of this season of Discovery, he did make a point to say there are more other universes other than the mirror universes. He was like, there are countless parallel universes. So again, he's even floating the idea of going to not the mirror universe, but an entirely different timeline, an entirely different universe. It really is, it's really making me feel like these two universes are going to meet up somehow. This Picard universe and this Discovery universe. And it all is going to make Calypso make sense. I've already proven and shown that the showrunners have said Calypso is not a dead storyline. They are coming back to that storyline. They're going to have a payoff. What's the payoff going to be, and when are we going to get it? We've already been waiting a year and a half, 2 years, really. Let me see. We got a trivia question from Thomas. Trivia question. In Voyager, when Tom Paris rebuilds the shuttle pod that hooks up to him, do you know the previous race that flew the shuttle pod? He rebuilds the shuttle pod that hooks up to him. Do you know the previous race that flew the shuttle pod? Are we talking about the Delta Flyer? Or are we talking about? So I think I just told you all yesterday, Star Trek Voyager is the one iteration of Trek that I have only went through one time. The Iconians. Okay. Let me see. Reinhardt said, I think the president is an opportunist, but not necessarily in a bad way. Tarka, absolutely. That dude's shady. He already told you he wants this thing for his own personal benefit. Yeah. I'm wondering though, because listen, I know she's an opportunist, Rillick, because she's a politician, and that's there is that. But I also, because when she was on that ship with Burnham, and Burnham told her, you need to hold on because this is your first time jumping. And everybody else who has been on Discovery, who made their first jump, was disoriented. and she acted like she had jumped before. Like Rillick was not rattled at all. She said her father is a cargo uh, captain or a freighter captain or something like that, but that is not the same as jumping with that spore drive. I got a feeling that she has made some jumps with that prototype spore drive that Tarka built. Um, and speaking of Tarka, before we go to Tarka, uh, Thomas had asked that trivia question. He gave us the answer, but I'm going to put the question back up here. He said, in Voyager, when Tom Paris rebuilds the shuttle pod that hooks up to him, do you know the previous race that flew the shuttle pod? The answer to that question was the Iconians, and they also they can hit you with some timey-wimey ish. So that's another, another that's another race to even think about when you think about some of the things that is that is going on. But yeah, I think Tarka is the person who developed that prototype spore drive. So if you really needed somebody to help you by making the jump, why didn't he just do the same thing that Stamets did and inject himself with the spores? Then he would be able to make the jump himself. But instead, once again, you're dragging somebody else into your mess to make them do the dirty work. So now Book has done the dirty work, is going to do the dirty work by jumping with the prototype spore drive. Book did Tarka's dirty work again when he said, I need you to suggest to the council that we should attack this anomaly. So that was the second time he got Book to do his dirty work. Then he got Stamets to do his dirty work at the earlier when they were doing the wormhole inside of Discovery, and he was like, you hit the button. He didn't want to be the person to hit the button. He told Stamets to do it. And I'm like, he's trying to make sure that he has nothing to do, that his hands are clean when it comes to things going south. And I definitely don't trust him. But then I'm watching the President Rillick, do the exact same thing with Burnham. She's playing Burnham the same way Tarka is playing Book and Stamets. Every time she needs some kind of quote unquote dirty work done, she pulls Burnham into it. She doesn't do it herself. Now, I could very well turn out to be 100% wrong that the president is simply a politician doing what politicians do, but it just feels weird that they both are playing the same kind of game, Tarka and Rillick. And Booker is even noticing this because at a point, Book says to Tarka, good citizens are not usually concerned about finding their moment or getting their hearts broken when they lose that moment. They usually can roll. If you're a good citizen, you can roll either way. Everything has to go Tarka's way, every single thing. And we know that he does have ulterior motives, and his ulterior motive is what he stated is he wanted to go meet his partner, or to go to this world with no wars, and where did he say no wars, no burn, no emerald chain. So those are the things that he said he was trying to run from. I don't trust Tarka, and I think he knew exactly what words to say to get Book to be on his team, because he also knows that Book just lost his entire planet. So telling him that there's this alternative timeline also would mean that this might be a place where his planet wasn't destroyed, where he can go back and see Quajon. I honestly believe that he is just pulling his chain because he knows that he's grieving. What y'all think? I'm doing a lot of talking now. I'm doing a lot of talking. There are other photos as well from they released some episode photos for this week's episode of Discovery, but it was just them standing I don't even like when I look in the background, I don't even see anything. You know, I'm looking for ways to try to get a leg up on what's going on in the season, and they were having none of it. They did not show us any of that. So I am going to share some more of the pictures that we do have. Doesn't mean that they're, exciting or good. It just means that they're pictures. Oh, let's see. Where is it? Is that this one? Nope. That ain't it. I unfortunately can't see. So I can't see when I'm pulling up the wrong ish. Okay, I see I got a comment. I got something right in the middle of my screen right this minute. So I gotta wait till I can see it. Okay, you said you thought the writing with Book was amazing. You don't lose your entire planet, and then in one episode you're just okay with it. Very good writing. Yeah, that would have been completely unbelievable if they would have went that route and just made him be like, well, okay, I lost everybody I love and everything I know. Yeah, that would have been very lazy. So yeah, I'm glad they are exploring more how a person deals with that level of grief, because that ain't something that you get over easy. Yeah. Look at me. I lost my father in July of last year, and I'm still not I'm still not good, so there's that. That's one person. That's you when you lose every single thing that you know. That's something entirely different. Um, and here we are with Guinan meeting up with John Luke. I'm wondering if she is giving him some explanation as to what's going on, because things are obviously going off the rails in this episode. I mean, in this season of Picard. It's just a matter of like what is this story trying to tell? What are we going to learn in this season? And then of course this has nothing to do with Picard, but we also found out, and I don't know, I guess I had already assumed it, but we know for certain now that this character, La Noonien Singh from Strange New Worlds, is related to Khan. So, what story we're going for with this, I don't know, but this would be prior to Kirk having his dealings with Khan. So, are we going to see Khan as he is dealing with? I mean, how is this going to tie in? How is, or why would they even make her a relative of Khan Noonien Singh when he should be, by this time, he should have been, I'm guessing, sent to the little prison planet, or he should be in the ship, in the stasis chambers before Kirk and his crew intercepted. And I mean, it has to be because Kirk hasn't been thought of just yet as far as Star Trek is concerned. So I'm really wondering how or why she is a character in this season of Strange New Worlds. Um, I can't see that, so I gotta go over here and read it. The Star Trek universe on Paramount Plus. Of course, that's the announcement when they were talking about Starfleet Academy. Again, another thing I kind of predicted. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I did talk about that some time ago. Let me see. Reinhardt says she would have to be a descendant and probably somebody who was family because of their surname has had a lot of stigma attached to it and is probably trying to prove herself. Well, I'm hoping that that's the route that they're going, that people might discriminate because of her surname and that she has something to prove. But I'm like, yeah, this is after the eugenics war, right? But before Khan comes back on the scene, reappears. So yeah, I hope that they have a damn good reason for bringing a descendant of Khan into this thing, because it just, to me, that we're gonna see how it works out. That seems a little too fan servicey to me, but we're gonna see how it works out and what story they tell. And I'm giving it a chance. And you know I love my Trek, but I'm not afraid to criticize or critique when it is necessary or when I feel like, we could have gone a different route. Um, what do we think? Okay, so we've talked a little bit about our theories. We got Reinhardt. He's going on record with Guinan is being part Q. I'm going on record saying that Calypso is going to be realized, and it's going to be realized in that alternate Picard timeline. And I know I'm stepping out on some straight up faith with that one. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm missing. Wait a minute. You said she would have to be a descendant, probably somebody whose family, because of their surname, has had a lot of stigma attached to it and is probably trying to prove herself. Okay, I read that one. You said absolutely. They're probably thinking him and his followers died or something. And we're never heard from again. But the way I would write it is that this young lady and her family have been shamed because they are descendants of Khan, Nooney, and Singh. Yeah. And I would expect, especially a person like Khan, I would have expected that he would have tried to spread his seed mightily throughout the earth. Not necessarily saying that she is a direct daughter, but I would expect that he would have had quite a few children because he thought he was superior and that um, he felt like he was superior enough that his DNA should continue on long after he's gone. Thomas, you said you got the faith of the heart song. Yeah, I've got faith. Oh gosh, that's a freaking terrible, terrible song. But yeah, I know what you meant. Faith of the heart. Oh gosh, it was a terrible theme song. But it grew. It can, I guess it can grow on you. One of the hosts of Clarence, one of the hosts of his podcast with him, one of them really likes that theme song. Oh gosh, and it's a very amazing, it's an amazing thought that somebody really enjoyed that theme song. I hated it more when they speeded it up. Like when they said, okay, they don't like it, so let's speed it up. Let's make it more snazzy. I hated it even more. Oh gosh. But I love the series. I did. Um, oh, Thomas, we were talking yesterday about that episode, Hope and Fear. Uh, episode 26 of season 4 of Voyager. I did. I went back and watched it, and I got an even better handle on why they or how they were able to recreate that slipstream drive in Prodigy. And I didn't remember that they had actually reproduced it on Voyager, but they couldn't continue to use it because it would have torn Voyager apart. So they had to uh it got them 300 light years closer to Earth. So they were that much, it was that much faster. They were getting closer and closer to Earth, but they couldn't continue to use it because it would have ripped Voyager to pieces. I watched it. I rather enjoyed that episode. Yeah, I rather enjoyed it. I need to go ahead and watch the entire series again. But here we are. I watch one episode at a time. You said they couldn't use it because they were from the demon planet. That was a different episode, though, wasn't it? They were from the demon planet. That was a copy of Voyager. I thought Hope and Fear. Now, Hope and Fear was the one where that guy, where Starfleet had sent out an encrypted message and had gotten intercepted by another alien species, and I can't remember what he was, but he was almost like one of the lone survivors of his race, and his race had been assimilated by the Borg, and it was indirectly because of Janeway making that deal with the Borg so that they could defeat species 8472. That guy held Janeway responsible for his race being assimilated, or his species being assimilated, because they was like, you shouldn't have made that deal with the Borg. You should have left that species 8472 alone. So all of this, only thing that you was thinking about was getting home to Earth. All of this is your fault. So he was trying to make sure Janeway and her entire crew got assimilated. So he had like masked or cloaked his ship to make it look like a Dauntless class ship. And that Dauntless class ship was supposed to be fast enough to take them home, until they started realizing it had alien tech. They did all of their due diligence to make sure that they weren't being duped, and they were. He was trying to make sure that they got assimilated. And they actually, Janeway and Seven of Nine got transported off of that vessel before it went into Borg territory. Angus, you in this thing? What's up? Yeah, Janeway did do some questionable things to get home. I didn't remember. I didn't remember a lot of the stuff, a lot of the shit that she pulled. That was one of them, though. She made that deal with species 8472, I mean, with the Borg, to allow them safe passage through Borg space if they were to help, with species 8472. But this other species, this other species needed, they were like, we were woefully outmatched. Once species 8472 was gone, we were woefully outmatched in Borg space, and they assimilated their entire race. So I can understand why he was pissed. It was just like, you went through an awful lot. You really went through an awful lot to make sure that you caught up to her ship, and you were trying to make sure she got assimilated, and it still didn't happen. Yeah, that was freaking crazy. That was a crazy episode, but that was one of the questionable things that she did to get home. Um, I can remember that she did some other things. I don't remember the entire thing because, like I said, I have watched certain episodes of Voyager more than once, but not enough for me to remember every little thing. Every little thing that she did. So if you got something else that she did, remind me, because I do remember that she did some shit. She did some shady stuff uh in service to her crew. It wasn't like she was just out there, freestyling just for the sake. She was doing it in service of her crew, but she did step on some toes. She made some people pissed in the Delta Quadrant. Um yeah. So yeah, those are the thoughts that I had of that episode. And I only watched the episode again because of the Dauntless, the ship in Prodigy. Because I just wanted to make sure that I was remembering Dauntless the way I thought I was. And that's it. You said Janeway broke the Prime Directive more than Kirk. And I know people. Yeah, you have people that think that she really didn't break it, and yes, she did. I thought she did too. If I'm remembering correct, she kind of tiptoed all over the Prime Directive. I gave her a little leeway because she was moving in uncharted territory, but yeah, she did. She tiptoed and tap danced and everything else all over the Prime Directive. That line, it's a very fine line, but she did. You said she instigated a civil war in Death Wish. I got to remember I've got to look up the description of the episode so that I can remember which one Death Wish was. Okay, season 2, episode 18. A member of the Q Continuum comes aboard Voyager seeking asylum so he can commit suicide. Is this the one we talking about? Q arrives on board to stop him, leaving Captain Janeway to mediate a moral dilemma. Is this the one we talking about? Let's see. Reinhardt says, when you make a deal with a species like the boar to help them defeat another species, knowing that if they do, they're going to go on and continue to assimilate other innocent species. Yep. Yep. She took shit a little too far, huh? And Thomas was asking, was that the Q one? Yep, that is. It was one um, where a member of the Q Continuum wanted to commit suicide on their ship, and Q wanted to stop them. And I'm trying to remember, how did this one end? How did this one end, y'all? Did he end up doing it? Oh, yeah. The Q Civil War. Is this the one when look, let me read. Is this the one when they went down on the planet and were shooting cannons and whatnot at each other? Is that this? It said in her ready room, Janeway asked the Q if the Continuum will reconsider putting Quinn in captivity if she rules against him, but instead try to reintegrate him into society. Wait a minute, you said Q helped kill him with Lilac? Desert Road? I'm missing something. So that's how it ended. It ended in the Q Civil War. Yeah, this was just that's another one of the ways that Janeway just stepped pretty much she she stepped outside of herself. Um I thought some of the things that she did that was questionable didn't even have to go that far. I thought the whole Tuvix thing, and I know people hate that. I thought that was a questionable decision on Janeway's behalf. I also thought the one time that she was kept having the doctor erased or whatever. I thought that was questionable. Q took them to the desert road. I'm gonna have to watch the episode. I don't remember. I remember the premise. I remember the first Q coming on the ship and announcing that he was Q, and they was like, "That ain't Q." And then the other Q came. So I remember so much of it, but I don't remember how it went down at the end. So I'm going to watch that episode. It's every day. I find a new episode of Voyager that you guys get me to want to watch. But yeah, I thought Tuvix was an issue. I thought what she was doing to the doctor that time when one of them ensigns that he liked, he made a choice between Kim and this other ensign, and he felt guilty about it. I didn't like the way she handled that. Continuously erasing him. Didn't like it. Didn't like it. But yeah, you're right. Poor Tuvix, because at least the doctor lived to sing another day. Tuvix, they eliminated him. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, what would Picard have done? Or what would Archer have done? Well, I know what Archer would have done. And I guess was it pretty much the same thing, because Archer, he was faced with that same type of situation with Trip, when they made the clone of Trip just to save Trip's life, and they ended up, yeah, they ended up. So yeah, I know what he would have done, but what would have, like, to me, the gold standard uh captain, even though he's not my favorite out of all of them. My favorite captain is Cisco, but the gold standard to me is Picard. Picard tried his best not to go against any Starfleet rule. Not saying that he never did, but he tried his damnedest not to. Space pirate Archer. Yeah, Archer did some questionable things too. But I mean, that was, if we remember, like, the Prime Directive was only the Prime Directive came into effect when the Federation came into effect, right? Or was it always there? So I didn't think the Prime Directive was there until we moved into it being the Federation and Starfleet. And it's a weird thing when you think of Star Trek, like the original series, like going back to before we had any of these spin-offs, there was no, like, each one, like, that the symbol that was on the insignia, the Starfleet insignia, was not to be used for Starfleet. That was the insignia for just the Enterprise, and it was co-opted, kind of retcon to being the Starfleet insignia, because each ship had their own insignia in the original series. It was only when we got to the spin-offs and that sort of thing that insignia started to stand for Starfleet. So I don't know where the hell I was going with this. Oh, so would there have been a Federation? Would there have been a Prime Directive before then? Now I'm gonna go back and pick up y'all comments. You said the clone of Trip was wise enough to value the time he had. Yeah, but he still got killed. He was actually, I'm not even going to say he got killed. He was created to be killed. And that is what I say is questionable. The Prime Directive was one of those traditions inherited from the Vulcans, but they never mentioned it. They never called it the Prime Directive in Enterprise, did they? They call it they called it something entirely different. Was it called the Prime Directive? Uh Reinhardt says, Angus, don't bring up Trip's clone. That episode made me cry. And Tuvix. Yeah, those are the two that we were talking about where some questionable ish went down. But I mean, again, I don't think Picard would have done those things. And remind me if there was ever a situation where Picard was faced with, we got this life form and you're going to die. Yeah. I knew I wasn't 100% crazy before we even got to the next generation. Every ship had its own separate insignia. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me for sure that I was on the right track, Reinhardt. Yeah. T'Pol referred to it as some protocol, and I'm trying to remember what they said. Uh, yeah. And until the Federation wasn't formed until after the events of Enterprise. So Archer would have kept that in the top of his mind and said, these are the things that we need to follow going into First Contact because of his experiences with First Contact and a lot more. I'm gonna say, I wish we knew more of the Starfleet protocols because a lot of stuff had to be put into practice simply because of the original NX-01 Enterprise going out there and getting involved in a whole lot of BS. You said, oh, immediately you think of Picard and that in principle perfect consort. So that chick that who she wasn't supposed to meet anybody until she met the person that she was she was a gift, right? Is that the one we're talking about? And he kind of fell in love with her. But he at the end of it, he was like, I'm not, I'm sorry, you gotta go and be with even though it was hurting him, you gotta go be with the person that you was meant for. Now you said now in Dr. Flock's defense, he had never used that on a human and didn't realize it would grow into a full fetus period and then a person. I think I remember him saying that. Right, but I'm not even blaming so much Dr. Phlox. I'm saying that you once you had this person became fully formed. The decision that we are going to go on with this procedure, that decision was made by Archer, wasn't it? Even though you've got a sentient life form, of course, this is before we had any of these protections. It was just, was it moral? Was it a moral decision? Once we start coming into, we don't impede on sentient life forms or stuff, whatever the rule was that Picard started spouting, one of his rules. Once we got to that era, we knew those rules were intact because Star Trek The Next Generation kind of put them there. Now I'm expecting each captain after that to adhere to those rules or to have a damn good reason why they won't. So yeah, the Trip clone, while it was a questionable decision and it wasn't a moral decision, I think it was worse when we get to Tuvix. I think that was uh that was an example of I'm blatantly ignoring this rule because I'm more attached to Tuvok and Neelix than I am this hybrid of the two of them. Um, okay, that was the one. That's the one. Angus, she imprinted on Picard and learned to love Shakespeare. Yes, and Lord have mercy. I know he hated to see her go, but it was like pace. Thomas said, at first I thought he would live out his normal life after the procedure. I hoped that he would. I didn't think things would get as dark as they got in some of these Star Trek episodes. To me, though, the one that tore me up the most, I know that the Trip one was really sad, but the Tuvix one really broke my heart because that character didn't want to die. He was like literally begging for his life all the way to the end. And that is what made it so inhumane to me when that character was put on that transporter pad. Angus said, in Archer's defense, the clone was too young to have any personal rights. What do we mean? Wait a minute. I'm gonna read the next comment. I hope you are backpedaling on that. Kirk's reason for violating the Prime Directive, they were being really stupid, culturally stupid. Yeah, Kirk. Kirk. Now he would just come up with complete leaps and bounds as to why he was going to do what he wanted to do. It would all make sense if you really squint when look at it. It really made sense. But yeah, Kirk, he was more than just like it was more than just cowboy diplomacy. It was more than that. It was Kirk in a lot of instances played God. I said it. I know ain't no too many people gonna agree with me. Kirk played God with some of these species. You said children ain't got no rights. You got to go to the clone's parent for permission. No, 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 no. That would be like me. Okay, I'm gonna have a baby. Just, and I guess it has happened. It has happened. I have seen cases where a parent would have a child just to give another child uh, a bone marrow transplant or a kidney transplant. The child they already got, that's the one that they are looking out for. We're going to have a whole nother baby just so that it'll be compatible so that you can get whatever organ or whatever you need from that other baby. I guess I can see it, but no, children have rights. Oh gosh. You know what? I'm not going to play politics. I won't say what I was about to say. You say Kirk didn't play God. Kirk was God. Yeah, Thomas, you found that funny. Yes, I think it is hilarious because he is supposed to be like the shining example and everybody holds Kirk up on a pedestal. And I love Kirk. Before I knew any other captain, I really loved Kirk. But then when you start seeing captains have like rules, stuff that they had to abide by, I was like, okay, I still like Kirk, but I don't love him so much anymore. He was doing things. Um, he was doing things simply because he wanted to. Now, of course, he had a good moral compass on the ship, and that was Spock, or at least the logical side of it, and the heart side of it was McCoy. But at the end of the day, the decisions were made by Kirk. Yeah. Let's see. Thomas said, what would God need with the starship? Angus said, man, How messed up is that? You were born, so we harvest your bone marrow in several very painful procedures, but you know that that happens. And it's not just like the bone marrow. I have seen it where we going to take an entire organ out of this child to give it to this child because we are attached to this one already. And if something happens to that one, well, collateral damage. He said it's a movie quote from a Star Trek movie. He said, Pike is your captain. And Pike, let's see. For what we know about Pike, Pike has just been the salt of the doggone earth. And you know what? It makes Kirk look worse. So, like, when we look back to Star Trek Discovery season 2, and now this is supposed to be um all happening before the Kirk era. And this is, once you see that this captain was following rules and this captain was making these sacrifices, and he wasn't narcissistic, and he wasn't out here banging everybody on each planet of the week. Once you say this happened first, Star Trek Discovery's Captain Pike, Captain Kirk looks that much worse. They actually diminished Captain Kirk by giving us this shining example of a captain in Pike. He says, Sir Patrick Stewart is your captain, Thomas. Reinhardt said, well, some stuff was dumb. Like if I was blank, I'm not gonna say that word, I wouldn't allow them to kill Wesley because he tripped over some flowers, period. And Picard was like, oh, hell no. So, he was given, I think he gave them an opportunity to see the value in this human life over these flowers. And in that case, I don't blame them. But like you said, at the end of it all, if it was something that made sense within the realms of those people's culture, Picard was going to let it fly. He was going to hope everything turned out right, but he was going to let it fly. But this was like, you're going to kill a kid from my starship. You're going to choose the life of some flowers over the life of a human being. Well, we don't do that on our planet. We won't visit here no more. You ain't got to worry about second contact. I am not sending the lower decks crew over here for second contact. I am not. Angus said, I saw Star Trek 5 in the theater. What a mistake. The one before or the one after, fine. But 5 was a dreadful error. And Discovery made you fall in love with Pike. Yes. But just think about how bad it makes Kirk looks. Now Kirk is sitting square in between two stellar captains. He is sitting in between, at least when he was sitting right after Archer, we could be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Archer was out there doing some crazy stuff too, but he didn't really have any rules. The rules didn't come into play until Archer helped to craft the rules. But now the rules have been crafted by Archer. You got Pike from Discovery showing you how it's done. Then you got Kirk. Then right after that, you got Picard, another stellar captain. Picard looks I'm all mixed up. Kirk looks that much worse coming in behind Pike and before Picard. You said that wasn't a Prime Directive violation, though. That culture made contact with the Federation. That was his responsibility to protect his crew. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Let me go back up and read it with some context. Like, some stuff was done. Like, if I was Picard, I wouldn't allow them to kill Wesley because he tripped over some flowers. Makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense now, Reinhardt. Okay. Angus says Pike on Archer. Pike and Archer would sit down and share a keg of Andorian ale. Yeah. And they would just everything would be chill. Andorian ale we can do. What's the one that was supposed to be illegal in in the Federation? Was it? It wasn't Andorian ale, was it? Which one was illegal in the Federation? Whichever one that was, that's the one Kirk drinking. He is not. He ain't got no chill, none whatsoever. It would be like having a Cuban cigar with, the president. You're not, you're just not supposed to have them. Oh God. So, do we think? Do we think Strange New Worlds? Romulan ale, that's the one. Yes, Romulan ale. That would be. Pike and Archer will be having Andorian ale, and and Kirk would be drinking Romulan ale. Said Thomas says he wants to see Michael Dorn drink prune juice again. Oh, Warriors drink. It required trade through the neutral zone. Yep. So that's another thing that I'm like, we are going to see some Romulan BS in Picard, and I would have liked to have seen a time where everything was all gravy between the Federation and the Romulans. Besides, during the Dominion War, which we know how that happened. We know how that went down. Speaking of questionable shit, my favorite captain. But again, we was in a time of war. I guess he would do some questionable things. But yeah, my favorite captain did some questionable BS too. Angus said because Archer gets a lifetime supply of ale from Shran. Shran's knows what he did. Yeah, that's his boy. I would like to see more from him, even though that was another thing that I wanted to discuss really quick and I didn't. And let me see if I got any of my ideas written down on this sheet of paper. I don't think I have it written down, but there are rumors. Of course, we mentioned these rumors before that either Enterprise would play into some of the characters from Enterprise would play into Strange New Worlds, excuse me, or Enterprise would be getting picked up for some type of, revival renewal, or when Star Trek decides to do that anthology series, that we will revisit some of these characters from Enterprise. Which one of those options would you like to see? Would you like to see a revival of Enterprise? Would you like to see characters from Enterprise show up in Strange New World? Or would you like to see at the anthology series feature some of the characters from Enterprise, sporadically throughout the run of that series? Reinhardt said, when do you think we're finally going to get to see a trailer for Strange New Worlds? I mean, it comes on the day before your birthday. Hey, your birthday, May the 4th. He said comes on the day before. No, your birthday is May the 5th. May the 5th, and still no trailer. I don't know. Look, which one is your birthday? Because I'm confused. Is your birthday May the 4th be with you, or is your birthday May the 5th? Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, I know, like I said a little bit ago, that that there were scenes released to the press. The press were able to see some scenes from the show. So I would hope that means that a trailer is either being put together or has been put together, and they're waiting for maybe a Super Bowl, or maybe they're gonna try to put it on. When would be a good time to premiere a trailer? Like, would they wait clean until Discovery is back? So will they wait till Discovery, or will they wait till Picard? When will they put that trailer out? Yeah. You say, Angus says, we saw an old T'Pau in the original series and a young T'Pau in Enterprise. I'd like to see an old politically powerful T'Pol in Strange New Worlds. Yeah. You said, I would love to see Captain Archer again, but he's doing another TV show. He's doing Quantum Leap, ain't it? Quantum Leap, besides the one that he's in, like I think he's in something right now. I think he's supposed to be doing a revival of Quantum Leap as well. But that only means to me that he's willing to go back to the well. I mean, he's been out of Quantum Leap for decades. So it means to me that he doesn't have a problem revisiting old characters, and maybe possibly we should be trying to lean on him right now to see if you could get him to maybe do a couple episodes of the anthology or do a couple episodes of Strange New Worlds if they haven't already tapped them. Yeah, you're saying the same thing. Read New Quantum Leap with Scott Bakula. And yeah, that's it, Angus. He's going to be doing that Quantum Leap again. He's going back to Quantum Leap. He said, Tasha, you've been thinking about that show for a long time. I envision the show called Star Trek Legacy. That would be tight. Yeah. And your birthday is May 6th. I got to remember. And you said you had that idea. I kid you not. I said to a friend, wouldn't it to a friend of yours, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Star Trek show called Star Trek Legacy and they revisited characters? Now, again, this is me out the side of my neck putting out rumors, but that haven't been substantiated yet. But it's being repeated too many times for it not to have been floated at any time. This could very well be a thing. I hope it's a thing, and I hope that they do it in a lot of the ways that many of us are imagining. We're imagining while we still have George Takei. I'm imagining them revisiting a Captain Sulu and showing us what happened in his older years or as in his admiralty or something like that. I like to see Worf and take us to Quonos and see us show us him being an ambassador, and all of these things. There are so many threads that can be picked back up, and they can also introduce new threads with the characters that we are presently watching on screen. So yeah, I'm 100% hope that they go through with this anthology thing. Reinhardt says, from all the shows, just one-off episodes so we could see what they were up to after the shows ended. Yeah. And then just occasionally, sprinkle some of the newer characters in and show us, for instance, how we, and I don't know, by we I mean me. I don't know if we all have this complaint, but the way that I complain about not knowing enough about the bridge crew of Discovery. I've been fussing about this for some years, for 3 years now. I have been making the same observation. In a show like that, you could explore each one of these characters and give them a deeper personality. Now, I see them now trying to sprinkle elements of their personal life so that we get to know some of the things that they're into. But you can do this so much better if Clarence had said at one time, if they just do it on short treks. I was behind that. But if they have an anthology series, you can round out each and every one of your characters, all of them, to include Grudge, Queen Grudge. We could get all of that fleshed out without taking any time away from the main show. And Thomas is saying that would be cool. Yeah. And Reinhardt is saying, I would love that, Tasha. George was the first Star Trek character I ever met, and I've met him 4 times, and he's a wonderful man. I believe it because he seems so down to earth on Twitter. Okay. Angus says, I would like to see John Cho reprise Sulu as a swashbuckling captain of a ship called the Susano, the Susano. But you know what? I would like to see a situation where those two characters cross, where we see the John Cho version of Sulu meet his older counterpart in some type of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly way, and just to pay homage, because we, being 100% honest with ourselves, myself included, I've got more days behind me probably than I have in front of me, and that's so much more so for our older Star Trek characters. So let's give them their flowers. Let's give them proper send-offs. Let's have um let's have older Sulu give younger Sulu advice. For instance, younger or older Sulu, when he was in TOS, they were playing that character like a straight character. He was revealed to have been uh, a gay character later. What if older Sulu tells him, there is no reason for you to hide who you are, and that kind of conversation. Not saying that it would have to be that, but I'm saying to have these two characters from alternate timelines meet one another, and older Sulu pass down some type of jewel, some type of good advice to his younger self. I would love to see that. And Reinhardt says the second character he wants to see is Wesley Crusher. And unlike a lot of people love the character, he, unlike a lot of people, loves the character of Wesley Crusher. They wrote Wesley Crusher to be this prodigy, and they didn't give him anything to play off of. He was just a kid sitting in a room of adults. He didn't get to be a kid. Now, I liked, and I would have liked to have seen Wesley have a friend, kind of like Jake and Nog. We got to see them be kids, grow up, character development outside of just being on the bridge and knowing every damn thing. That was what my issue was with the Wesley Crusher character. Not that I hated him, or it was just like they wrote him to be obnoxious. IMO, in my opinion. um, I don't know what you me tooing. Are you saying you're me tooing the Wesley Crusher? You liked him as well, Thomas? And you said the Susanoo was a Japanese god of storms and mischief. I had never heard of that. I like to know shit though, so I'm gonna write it down too. Because I like to read stuff and learn stuff that I don't know. I'm never too old with my old ass. uh Angus, you said the two Sulus would be wonderful. Yeah, that's just like one way to put it. But yeah, in order to use both characters, also, just drag these characters. It doesn't even have to be a main character that we visited. We could go back to a planet that we had visited, and we could see what changed after the visit from the Federation or First Contact. Uh, Hopefully, it didn't go as bad as the First Contact out on Prodigy. But yeah, it would be nice one-offs. We don't have to keep going back week after week. Just do this one-off thing, and I think it would be cool. I think it would be a cool way to get to know characters, to revisit planets and species. and to just give us more Trek. Can't be enough. It's never enough Trek, I don't think. Thomas, you said you like Wesley Crusher as well. Um, Reinhardt said Will Wheaton has talked about that. They didn't give Wesley any fellow teenagers to be around, period. On DS9, Nog and Jake had each other. I mean, they could have given Wesley a best friend. And I agree, because, every time they introduced a female character around, or I'm saying female, and I can't remember how many different ones it was, but he seemed very awkward and very over the top eager. If he had a friend, they gotta bounce these things off of one another. Somebody to grow up with, because there were other kids, little kids on the ship. You mean to tell me nobody had a teenager? It was just very, very strange. And then on occasion, you bring in these younger girls onto the ship, and then things get weird. Wesley didn't know how to act around a girl until he went to Starfleet Academy. Oops, I keep banging into my dang on microphone. Gosh. So yeah, it was just weird. Just weird the way they chose to do that. Especially when they did so much very well on that show. But then I watched a video today and I liked it so much. Gosh, what show was it? Trek Culture on YouTube. I really enjoy. I think his name is Sean Fennick. I enjoy his takes. And today, one of the things that he was talking about on his Star Trek show was 10 twists that that characters hated. And gosh, now where was I going with this? See, I'm talking, my age is showing right there. I just lost my train of thought talking about Sean Fennick, but I do enjoy his content. And for all of the things, oh, that's where it was. For all the things that the show did well, especially I'm talking TNG at this point, that was one of the regrets that I had for the show, is that they underutilized Will Wheaton. They made Geordi like some kind of incel. And okay, I'm sorry, but that's what it seemed. It was very, his behavior at times was very incel-ish. And they the Tasha Yar, the way they killed her off, and it kind of like we're gonna close, we slamming the door on this character. And they were saying, he was saying that Patrick Stewart was against that. That why would you slam the door on this character? You could have always brought this character back, So that was one of the things for TNG. And the thing about Tasha Yar was what Sean Fennick brought up. But those other two, when he said that, it kind of jumped out at me like, oh, I got two more. I got two more problems that I had that I wish they would have done different, even though I thought the show was very well done. Yeah. Reinhardt said that's about as bad as Tasha is them making Geordi as bland of a human being as possible. LeVar Burton has talked about that. He said they didn't want Geordi to ever get laid. Oh gosh, and you like Sean Fennick on Trek Culture as well. Yes, he is. He does fantastic. I love his work. I love him. I really like Steve Shives. There are a few Trek shows that I am fully invested in. I don't talk about it. Look, I talk about Claris's show because we have a personal friendship or relationship at this point. So that's different. So I talk about them an awful lot, but there are other ones that I am very interested in. That Steve Shives is one, and Sean Fennick on Trek Culture. Yeah. Yep. So, what else? We got anything else, or we checking out for the night? It's been a good long almost 2 hour conversation, but I can talk longer today. I don't have anything on my itinerary, and um, me talking to you all is keeping me from trying to get cigarettes because I'm out and I really want to stay out. But if I get off of here, guess what I'm gonna do? Yeah. You said Sean Phoenix up and down episodes for Star Trek are good. Yeah, I like those as well. You say all creators should learn from this. Killing off a main character almost always has proven to be a bad idea. Yeah, that one and speaking of Sean Fennec, same video that he did today, he was talking about Jadzia. Like, now what can I mean? We can't even do a revisit of Jadzia because they killed her. And when they killed her, they made it very final. She's gone. So now this is a character that you kind of taken off the table, and she's a fan favorite. And I know but we have Esri Dax. As much as I liked Esri Dax, I didn't dislike the character. Jadzia, she was not. She was not her. Just wasn't the same. Um, so when you killed this character off, you shut the door on her. She can never return. The only Dax that we can get is who comes after Esri or Esri. Um, yeah, it was so terrible the way they did that. And I did not know the why behind that, but it was explained. It was explained by Sean Fennec. And I was like, I didn't know that they were leaning on her to make a decision. Are you coming back next season? Are you coming back next season? Are you coming back next season? And if you're not coming back full time, you can't come back at all. I didn't know they were doing that. So she chose to not come back at all, and they made sure she will never come back by killing her in the most horrible way possible, because she died at the hands of freaking Golda Cott with his crazy ass. Don't light no cigarette for me. I'm about to go find me one on my own, Thomas. I'm trying to really not do it. We got a grandbaby on the way, and I really don't want to smell like smoke and cigarettes when the grandbaby gets here. There was an ultrasound that got brought to me today, and I have examined that thing like the same way I examine a Star Trek episode, but I cannot tell what the gender is of this baby. So we're gonna have to wait for another ultrasound, or we might not never know. Shucks. But yeah, I need to stop the cigarette thing. But if you've ever been a smoker, if you're a smoker, if you have other habits, wink wink, you know how hard it is to put them things down, man. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So if you haven't ever picked one up, please don't. Do yourself a favor. Save your wallet, because shit. I have quit for like a year, and then some stress will hit me or something crazy, and I'll pick it right back up. So yeah, baby is due in July. So baby due in July. Hopefully we not smoking. Oh, Zen pouches. They're just nicotine, no tobacco, and they got different flavors too. So yeah, I used to work in a convenience store, and I would see those shits all the time, but I didn't know what it was. Yeah, and people wasn't buying them. Oh, pick up Reinhardt. I'm sorry, Reinhardt. Two things, Tasha. Number one, they completely messed up what they said about trills, because as we have been going back to a life that Jazia had led. I'm missing some. I'm missing. Oh, or is I get there's a second part, right? You said two things, Tasha. Number one, they completely messed up what they said about trills, because as we have been going back to a life that Jadzia had led, the other, I was thankful that the trill that Adira was carrying was not going to be Dax. Good for them. There's more than one trill in the universe. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yes. Angus says my grandfather was a moonshiner to support his own habit, and he chain smoked. I had strong incentives to not get addicted to anything like that. But God, I love food too much. Yeah, food can be a problem too. But in for me, it's the okay. I wake up in the morning. I told y'all I have a Janeway coffee addiction as well. So I get up in the morning and I'll have a cup of coffee. Next thought, cigarette. Um, I'll wait a little while. I'll cook a little breakfast, eat that. Next thought, cigarette. And everything is like it's a freaking cause and effect with me. So yeah, so I need to leave food and cigarettes alone, is what I was saying. Oh, you can swallow that. You don't have to do all that spitting. That's one of the things that I really hate is the spitting. Uh, when I see people get those pouches, but their pouches are also tobacco. They're not just nicotine. I might try it, Thomas, because then at least I won't smell bad, like the cigarette smoke. Yeah, it'll get all in your clothes, and the baby don't need to be around that shit. That's the way I'm looking at it. First grandchild, so I'm probably gonna jump out the window. But I do, because I wasn't smoking when my son, I didn't start smoking until I was 30 something with my dumb ass. So yeah, there was that. But I appreciate it, and I'm gonna probably try to see what it do, what these pouches, if it works for me. Because yeah, it's getting bad. Sorry, closer we get to this baby. And of course, I am going to force the Star Trek issue on this baby. Yeah. You said sorry that got mangled. You said Esri Dax shouldn't have been going back to Deep Space Nine because that was Jadzia Dax's old life. Remember, they said they're supposed to move on. Yeah, yeah. So now you stepping on to Deep Space Nine for no particular reason. And yeah, your life gets intertwined with her past life and whole lot of mess. Yeah. Okay, Thomas, I'm gonna write that down too. I done wrote down everything else. You said the coffee and citrus flavor. Yep, I might go take a look now and see what they got. Because yeah, I got to do something. Don't want to smell like an ashtray for the baby. Unfinished trill business. Nah, that business was finished. Your husband mourned you. Now you coming back trying to hook back up with your former hosts, or yeah, the former host husband. That's a little weird. Yeah, uh Reinhardt, I didn't announce it until, because they had lost one last year, and uh besides it, I'm sure breaking them up it broke me up as well because I had already announced it before they lost it. So I was like, I'm going to wait until they give me permission to make an announcement and all of this. So it's no, if something happens now, then, uh, at least I know I will have given the baby a chance to, kind of make sure that everything was okay. Because like today, I with the ultrasound, we heard a little heartbeat. We see everything. Baby's doing flips and moving around, and I'm like, okay, you're okay. So I didn't make the announcement till maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I really just said it in passing. Today is the first time I'm really talking about the pregnancy. So yeah, yeah, we're gonna be grandparents now. Are you going to be a new grandparent, or are you talking about your granddaughter? I think you got a granddaughter, right? Granddaughter you already have. I don't know what four red means over here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, okay? I don't know what that meant. It's always like a Russian type of name that has these weird um that has those weird messages. I don't know if they be trying to get y'all to go to some kind of porn site or what. Shit. But yeah, you ain't missed nothing. But you can best believe that at some point it's gonna be a whole Star Trek baby over here, and y'all y'all gonna get to see a whole Star Trek baby. Or maybe I might push Star Wars. I started watching Clone Wars today. I only watched 2 episodes, but I did watch the first 2 episodes, Clone Wars as well. I'm getting a little excited about the ending, how this thing is gonna end in Book of Boba. So there's that. And what else? What else we got? Discovery, we got that picking back up this week. I'm excited for that. So yeah, we got lots to talk about come this Sunday. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. I watched the very first 2 episodes of Clone Wars, Angus. The very first two. I I was confused because I saw Ahsoka coming up in one, and I'm like, I thought she didn't show up until later. Is that am I in the first two? Because I went to it on Disney Plus and it said Star Wars, it said Star Wars Clone Wars, the final season. And then I'm like, okay, but y'all starting this season 1. So how was that the final season? I ain't trying to understand. I'm just trying to watch. Yeah. You say, yeah, your 11-year-old granddaughter, she is a handful. I did see Yoda hanging around with some clones. I saw him tell this chick, yeah, you're strong with the dark side of the force, but you ain't strong enough. And he took a little lightsabers whip from her. Yeah, Yoda had like bars. He was killing them. Yoda was not playing with the youngins. Was not. I will whoop your ass with this lightsaber. That's what Yoda was saying. Right, I said, you watched the Clone Wars, Tasha. You have made my heart sing. I'm so proud of you. Look, and I started today because Clarence messaged me early. He like messaged me at about 9 something this morning and said that he was on season 2. And he was saying there were some Cad Bane episodes for me in season 1, and you should get into it. And as soon as I got off the message board with him, I went ahead and just pushed play. Okay. You said that movie is skippable though, Angus. There's a cartoon movie before the series where Ahsoka is introduced to Anakin as his new Padawan. Uh, and you said the girl with the dark side girl has some tragic backstory. She's a bag of wet cats. Well, shit, I'm gonna find out more about her, I guess, because I'm gonna have to go back in there. I do better. I do better sitting in front of the TV in the living room like a human being and watching that rather than trying to lay down and watch it on my bed because once I lay down, it's over. So usually I'm listening to podcasts. I listen a lot during the day while I'm moving around doing little housework. But today I was like, I'm about to sit down and watch freaking Clone Wars. And I did. I watched those 2 episodes, but I can't sit still for long, so I had to get up and move around. Oh gosh. Well, yeah, like this is sitting still long enough, and yeah. Oh, see you later, Reinhardt. I'm gonna be out of here in a minute too. Angus says she's the one who gave Anakin the scar next to his left eye. The the dark side girl, she gave him that scar. Huh. And Angus is saying bye, Reinhardt. I don't know if he's still there to hear it, but Reinhardt, he's saying bye too. But yeah, I'm gonna have to really set aside some just time. Like I need to say, okay, 2 hours. You sit here and just watch. I can't be interrupted because anytime something happens, anytime somebody comes about and interrupts, I'm done. I got to put the phone away and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get a lot of it watched, just so I get a better understanding. Because Boba Fett will be over, but I'll get a little bit better understanding of what led up to some of the things that we're seeing. You said Assange Ventress. They had quite a duel. I'm gonna have to watch it. Is that far into the series, or is it in the first episode? I mean the first season. If it's in the first season, I'm gonna look forward to it. If not, I'm gonna wonder, why did you tell me about this? Now I got to wait till next year. Well, I actually saw that the last few seasons weren't as long as the first few, I guess. And then those are what, about 23 minutes long. So honestly, I'm thinking I can get that watched. It just seems intimidating. It's not as long as I'm making it out to be in my mind. So I'm gonna get some more of this Clone Wars watched. We're gonna watch this end of and then off the subject completely and totally. I was listening to a podcast today, stuff they don't want you to know. And it was the hosts were discussing the metaverse and how all of the I guess good things that could come about and all of the negatives of this thing. And it made me think about Black Mirror. So I think I'm gonna do a rewatch also of Black Mirror because I love the series, but it's been a while since I've watched it. And I'm like, that sounds an awful lot like what we're headed for with this metaverse things. So we shall see. Okay. You said it's earlier than moving into all these crazy episodes, going into all these extra seasons, and you're gonna see if you can find a video too, a YouTube video of it. Cool. You know how to catch up with me, sir. With all that, I'm going to bed, y'all. But only after I either find some nicotine in some way, shape, or form. I got to go. It has been fun on this impromptu live stream. Thank you all for coming and joining. And hopefully, we can get together and talk Discovery this week, Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you're into that kind of thing, come join us then. And we'll see you later. And be part of the conversation next time, because I know some people in here who ain't saying shit. Don't be afraid. Say whatever you want. Talk. Thank you, Thomas. Thanks, Angus. See you later. Y'all have a good night. Peace.